House Stark. House Stark governs the North from Winterfell, serving as Wardens of the North, a royal commission to raise armies and defend the realm's northern marches. Their power rests on reciprocal feudal bonds. Bannermen swear soldiers and obedience. The Starks provide protection, justice, and leadership across sparsely populated, harsh terrain. The Stark sigil is a gray direwolf on a white field. A sigil is a formal emblem used on banners, shields, and seals to identify a house in war and diplomacy. The direwolf signifies endurance, pack loyalty, and threat awareness. The white field ensures high contrast, so it can be recognized quickly on a battlefield or from a rampart. Their words are, "Winter is coming." House words are guiding mottos, not slogans. This warning encodes doctrine. Assume hardship is cyclical. Stock provisions early. Maintain fortifications. Treat peace as preparation time. The phrase also signals prudence to allies and deterrence to enemies who understand the North outlasts rather than outshouts. The Starks are among the few houses of Westeros who still worship the old gods through their weirwood trees. Winterfell is a vast stone fortress built over hot springs that heat key chambers, keeping command spaces habitable during severe winters. Its central position controls road networks linking remote holds, enabling faster musters than rivals. Deep crypts anchor dynastic legitimacy, while training yards and granaries translate caution into readiness. Taken together, seat, sigil, and words, House Stark's identity aligns around one operational idea: prepare, conserve strength, and endure. House Lannister. House Lannister of Casterly Rock rules the Westerlands as Lords Paramount, controlling coastal strongholds and rich inland holds from their fortress carved into a colossal seaside rock. Their authority rests on wealth from ancient gold and silver seams, disciplined household troops, and a vassal network incentivized by timely payments and harsh reprisals for disloyalty. In royal politics, they finance wars, underwrite royal debts, and buy influence through dowries, wardships, and strategic patronage. The office of Warden of the West is often theirs, giving formal responsibility for Western defense. The Lannister sigil is a golden lion on a crimson field. The lion communicates dominance, dynastic pride, and the right to rule. Crimson increases visibility, helping banners read at distance and identifying Lannister units in battle line coordination. Their official words are, "Hear me roar," a direct claim to be both seen and obeyed. The common saying, "A Lannister always pays his debts," functions as policy. Rewards to allies arrive quickly. Enemies learn that offenses carry costly, often public, consequences. Casterly Rock itself is a natural fortress with vertical sea cliffs, tunneled halls, and stores protected deep within the rock, making sieges costly and long. Nearby Lannisport supplies shipyards, trade customs, and logistics, turning mineral wealth into coin, fleets, and food. By combining secure geography, liquid wealth, and reputational enforcement, House Lannister converts money into legitimacy and military power faster than rivals who rely only on levies or harvests. House Baratheon. House Baratheon is the great house of the Stormlands, historically ruling from Storm's End, a massive coastal fortress designed to withstand both siege engines and relentless ocean storms. The house rose to the Iron Throne when Robert Baratheon overthrew the Targaryen dynasty, shifting the senior Baratheon seat to King's Landing, while maintaining Storm's End as the regional power center. Their martial base is a network of Storm Lords, vassal houses supplying hardened infantry and commanders accustomed to harsh weather and rapid coastal mobilization. The Baratheon sigil is a crowned black stag on a golden field, marking both the family totem, the stag, speed, strength, and rutting season, aggression, and the royal authority claimed after Robert's rebellion, the crown above the antlers. Their words, "Ours is the fury," encode doctrine. Hit hard, accept decisive engagements, and break enemy lines with shock action rather than attritional delay. The house's material strength draws on Stormland's timber for fleets, tough hill and coastal levies, and a tradition of personal combat prowess among its lords. After the usurpation, the dynasty split into three branches with distinct strategic roles. Baratheons of King's Landing held the crown and controlled royal finances, the King's Guard, and city garrison. Baratheons of Dragonstone, led by Stannis, possessed a volcanic island stronghold, shipyards, and legalist claims grounded in strict primogeniture. Baratheons of Storm's End, under Renly, leveraged deep regional loyalty and reach alliances through marriage ties. These competing claims framed the post-Robert succession crisis. Legitimacy, Stannis; popularity and coalition mass, Renly; and de facto royal continuity in King's Landing. House Tully. House Tully rules the Riverlands from River Run, a fortress set at the confluence of the Red Fork of the Trident and the Tumblestone. The site is engineered for defense. Sluice mechanisms can divert water to flood a man-made moat, turning the castle into a temporary island and forcing besiegers to fight on narrow approaches under missile fire. Control of this junction also secures barge traffic, ferries, and grain movement along the forks of the Trident, giving the Tullys leverage over logistics in wartime and taxation in peace. The Tully sigil is a leaping silver trout on rippled blue and mud red. As battlefield iconography, the bright trout on high-contrast stripes reads clearly across water and field. Symbolically, it pairs identity with terrain, swift movement, life from rivers, and resilience to currents. Their words, family, duty, honor, define a priority order, protect kin, discharge obligations to liege and vassals, and preserve reputation. In practice, this means reliable musters, scrupulous hosting of allies, and marriages deployed to lock coalitions. As lords paramount of the Riverlands, the Tullys coordinate a diverse and often fractious vassal network. Mallister coastal wardens, Blackwood and Bracken rivals, and the Freys controlling the Green Fork crossing. The Riverlands' flat, fertile floodplains can feed armies, but are exposed to rapid cavalry raids from the Westerlands and seaborne strikes by Ironborn. Tully strategy emphasizes river watchtowers, patrol boats, and quick concentration of levies along fords and bridges. Through marriage, notably ties to Stark and Arryn, the house multiplies its regional weight, converting central geography into alliance power. House Tyrell. House Tyrell rules the Reach from Highgarden, a fertile river valley stronghold on the Mander. Their comparative advantage is agricultural surplus. Grain, wine, fruit, and horses sustain large standing garrisons and let the Tyrells provision allies, buy neutrality, or starve enemies. In feudal economies, logistics decide campaigns. By controlling harvests, mills, and river barge routes, the Tyrells convert food into coin, coin into troops, and troops into political leverage. The sigil is a golden rose on a green field. As heraldry, the high-contrast emblem is legible on banners at distance. As symbolism, the cultivated rose advertises order, planned growth, and prosperity. Power drawn from managed land rather than mines or piracy. Their words, growing strong, encode doctrine, expand influence gradually, protect supply chains, and avoid ruinous gambles that jeopardize next season's yield. Highgarden itself uses layered gardens, terraces, and walls to channel attackers into narrow approaches, while defenders hold abundant water and stores. The Reach fields dense levies and renowned heavy cavalry, knights and mounted men-at-arms raised by vassal houses like Hightower and Tarley. Campaigning emphasizes massed musters on open ground, siege trains supported by ample forage, and short lines of communication along the Mander and coastal roads. Soft power complements arms. The Tyrells deploy tourneys, dowries, and courtly alliances to place family members near the throne, shape royal councils, and influence appointments. Naval coverage relies on allied red wine fleets from the Arbor, safeguarding wine trade and sea lanes. Principal vulnerabilities include flat terrain exposed to rapid enemy penetrations, dependence on unbroken harvest cycles, and susceptibility to blockade if river and coastal traffic is interdicted. House Arryn. House Arryn rules the Vale of Arryn from the Eyrie, a mountaintop castle accessible only by narrow mountain paths and a series of guarded way stations. The Vale's outer defense is the Bloody Gate, a choke point that forces invaders into a killing corridor before they can even attempt the climb. This terrain gives small Arryn forces disproportionate power. Steep gradients slow siege trains, reduce cavalry effectiveness, and expose attackers to missiles and rockfalls. The Arryn sigil is a sky-blue falcon and crescent moon on a sky-blue field. On campaign banners, the bright shapes are readable against snow and stone, ensuring unit recognition in rugged light. Symbolically, the falcon conveys height, vigilance, and swift descent. The moon signals purity of rule in the house's association with the high places of the Vale. Their words, as high as honor, link moral reputation to altitude, asserting that legitimacy derives from both conduct and commanding ground. Military strength centers on disciplined heavy infantry and renowned knights of the Vale, supported by vassal houses such as Royce, Corbray, and Grafton. Operational strategy emphasizes holding passes, sortieing from elevated redoubts, and using the Eyrie as a last resort citadel. Gulltown, the Vale's deep water port, underwrites logistics and trade. Control of sea access offsets the mountain's agricultural limits and supplies, coin, grain, and naval escort. Customs of wardship amplify political leverage. Jon Arryn's fostering of northern and stormland heirs established interregional trust networks that outlast single reigns. Principal vulnerabilities include winter snows that can isolate interior valleys, dependence on pass security for overland trade, and periodic destabilization by mountain clans if patrols lapse. House Bolton. House Bolton is a northern noble line whose historical seat is the Dreadfort, a cold stone fortress east of Winterfell. The house is known for centralized, punitive governance over scattered vassals along forested and riverine terrain. The Dreadfort's reputation for dungeons and strict discipline discourages rebellion in remote holdings, where direct oversight is hard, allowing a small administrative corps to control wide tracts through fear and quick punitive rides. Their sigil is a red flayed man on a pink field. A flayed man is an emblem of terror intended to preempt resistance. It advertises that disobedience will be made public and irreversible. The house words, "Our blades are sharp," declare readiness for close-quarters enforcement rather than distant siegecraft, while their informal motto is, "A naked man has few secrets, a flayed man, none." On campaign banners, the high-contrast figure is immediately recognizable, ensuring that approaching columns communicate the same psychological message as their lord's reputation. Operationally, Bolton forces favor light, fast columns for night marches, ambushes, and prisoner-taking to break enemy cohesion. Garrisons hold choke points on wooded roads and river crossings, using harsh weather to magnify attrition on opponents. Intelligence gathering relies on informers cultivated by fear of exemplary punishment. Armor and arms emphasize utility in cold, muddy ground where heavy cavalry maneuver poorly. Bolton commanders exploit fatigue, desertion, and divided loyalties rather than costly frontal assaults. Politically, Rose Bolton rose by switching allegiance at decisive moments, obtaining the Lannister-backed title of Warden of the North and claiming Winterfell through marriage and conquest. His policy combines minimal generosity with maximum control, redistribute confiscated lands to loyalists, eliminate rival claimants, and enforce order through targeted brutality that deters coalition building among surviving foes. House Frey. House Frey is a Riverlands bannerman whose strength derives from a single strategic asset, the Twins, two facing castles joined by a fortified stone bridge over the Green Fork of the Trident. The site controls the principal high road crossing between the north and the southern kingdoms. In peacetime, the Freys extract revenue through tolls and customs. In war, they convert access into leverage by granting, delaying, or denying passage to entire armies. The Frey sigil is two blue towers connected by a bridge on a silver-gray field. As heraldry, it advertises their function rather than a totem, control of movement. The house words are not stated in the television series. The Twins are engineered to trap forces mid-crossing. Gatehouses at both ends, portcullises, murder holes, and drawbridges allow defenders to isolate and destroy segmented columns. Strong currents and narrow approaches multiply the defensive advantage. Power is organized through an unusually large kin network. Walder Frey's many descendants provide garrison officers, marriage pieces, and hostage insurance across the Riverlands. This breadth enables rapid local musters and wide intelligence, though internal rivalries must be managed to prevent factional drift. Typical Frey field forces are numerous, but not elite. Light infantry, crossbowmen, and pikemen suited to wall defense and causeway control, supplemented by rivercraft for patrol and message running. Politically, the Freys convert access into contracts. Safe passage is exchanged for marriages, titles, or immediate supplies. The house's risk profile is concentrated. If an enemy outflanks by boat, finds alternate fords, or the river freezes, leverage drops sharply. Their reputation for opportunism yields short-term gains, but invites long-term reprisals once regional power balances shift. House Targaryen. House Targaryen is a Valyrian-descended dynasty whose Westerosi power base shifted from Dragonstone, an island citadel of dragon glass, to King's Landing after conquest. Dragonstone's position near Blackwater Bay enables control of shipping lanes and short protected crossings of the narrow sea. Its jagged cliffs and deep underways make assault costly, letting small garrisons hold out while fleets maneuver. Their sigil is a red, three-headed dragon on a black field. As heraldry, the stark color contrast reads at distance on smoke-filled battlefields. Symbolically, the three heads represent each of the three dragons that helped conquer Westeros. Balerion, the Black Dread, who was ridden by Aegon, Meraxes, who was ridden by Rhaenys, and Vhagar, who was ridden by Visenya. Their words, fire and blood, refer to the fires that the Targaryens used to forge the Seven Kingdoms into one realm through their bloody quest. Dragons redefine campaign physics. They provide vertical envelopment, flying over walls and terrain, siege negation, melting gates, towers, and fleets, and strategic reconnaissance from altitude. Their shock effect can rout levies before contact. Constraints are real. Dragons are few, hard to replace, and require bonded riders. They cannot hold ground, so disciplined infantry, engineers, and fleets must follow to occupy, tax, and police. Without that scaffolding, burned castles reappear as resistance cells. Politically, Targaryen legitimacy rests on conquest continuity and sacralized bloodline. Endogamy preserves the Dragon Lord mystique, but narrows succession, inviting crises when rival claims arise. When dragons are lost or absent, the dynasty must govern like any crown, through bureaucrats, coin, and marriages, reducing deterrence and tempting great houses to test the center's will.
We've met the houses, Stark, Lannister, Targaryen, and beyond. But in the Game of Thrones, names aren't the only thing with history. Let's dive into the legendary swords that shaped Westerosi history. Click on the video on your screen now.